Welcome, everyone. I'd like to start by acknowledging the Tsleil-Waututh, Squamish, Coquitlam, and Musqueam peoples on whose traditional territories we are honored to be gathered this afternoon. I would like to invite Ms. Serena Lee up to lead us all in singing, O Canada. Serena.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Please be seated. I declare the Fall 2017 Convocation assembled for the granting of degrees. Mr. President, members of the Board of Governors and Senate, faculty, and honored guests, graduands, and our many friends, I am Anne Giardini, the Chancellor of Simon Fraser University, and we are delighted and honored to have you join us this afternoon for Convocation. Just over 50 years ago, at SFU's first convocation, 12 degrees were conferred. This fall, SFU will surpass 150 graduates. In attendance today are a number of distinguished guests in the audience and on the platform, including members of Senate, vice presidents, deans, and faculty members. I would like to acknowledge here the Honourable Bruce Ralston, Minister of Jobs, Trades and Technology, the Honourable Katrina Chen, Minister of State for Childcare, and Janet Rutledge, MLA, Burnaby North. Also, Mr. Robert Arthur Williams, who will be conferred an Honorary Doctorate of Laws this afternoon, and our SFU alumni, legacy, parents, and families. Welcome to you all. Enlightened, educated, shimmering with potential, you have before you a world of almost limitless possibilities, and your dilemma will be to find the places where your talents and interests can shine. Convocation is one of life's turning points. In the story of your lives, which I hope will be long and accomplished, you have now completed a new chapter, the story of your time here at Simon Fraser University. Today signifies your launch into a dramatic new future. Toward the end or the middle of a sonnet, there is a volta, a turn, a twist of perspective or philosophy that makes the sonnet either personal or universal. The volta can make a simple sonnet resound like a bell. And Convocation Day is like that, a volta, a resonance, a turn, the closing of one perspective and an opening into new ones. People my age tend to try to make a coherent story of the life we have lived, to draw connections among the data points, to say that such and such decision or event led or caused other decisions and other events. And for the most part, we succeed. As the scientist and writer Stephen Jay Gould pointed out, we love a sensible and satisfying story, although he went on to remind us that most satisfying tales are in fact constructed. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman put it this way in his remarkable book, Thinking Fast and Slow. Narrative fallacies arise inevitably from our continuous attempt to make sense of the world. Although, like a novel, our lives have a beginning and a middle, and I'm very sorry to say, an end, they tend not to be nearly as tidy or as organized or as adroitly plotted as literature. Poems and stories and novels and works of nonfiction are shaped and bounded by their author and their editors in a way that our messy and wonderful lives tend not to be. Being human can be difficult, and the larger and longer our lives, the more random and external events will get in the way. Unlike writers, we are not in control of our material. The delightful sensation of immersion in a controlled universe is one reason we enjoy reading or being told stories. I know I share with many of you an abiding love of books, and I've also come to adore their recent counterpart, the podcast, which is frankly, in my view, one of the marvels of our age. An example of today's merged media products that bring together audio, the internet, and our ubiquitous devices, podcasts bring to our avid ears a seemingly endless stream of stories. Stories that we can listen to while doing other things, such as walking to work, or doing dishes, or avoiding writing a term paper. I've become addicted to the buzz of smart stories, well told, spilling intimately into my ears as I go from point A to B, or attend to tasks. As it happens, some of the attributes that make for good podcast apply just as well in our lives. As in podcasts, our lives can have a sustaining storyline or theme, one that draws other people in immediately and leads us toward interesting and satisfying opportunities. Yours might be, for example, a commitment to the environment, or to problem solving, or to helping others, or to shaping your community. And both your life and podcasts have what I might call flow, each event and episode leading somehow in a way that feels inevitable to the next. A third commonality is a compelling voice and framing perspective, someone from whose point of view the story is presented, and in your life that will be you. Although we may not be in control of the story of our life, we do have the ability to bring perspective to it, the power to frame and reframe what goes on around us and how we respond. Do we see the world from Heathcliff's point of view or from Catherine's? From the perspective of the x-axis or the y? As an actor on the stage or a technician behind the scenes? Historian or futurist? Optimist or pessimist? Framing and reframing by individuals and societies can change organizations, states, and history. It's been argued, for example, that our modern world, in which we value and are open to change and innovation, arose out of dramatically new ways of perceiving history and advancement centuries ago, and fresh insight that progress might be a useful, desirable, and possible goal. That realization allowed people to risk setting aside the old and the known, to break with tradition in favor of what became ultimately the explosive technological and economic developments that we are all so familiar with. So my first wish for you is to lead a life from which you can shape a wonderful story when you're old. And my second is for you to bring your SFU commitment to engagement to all you do in your life. Today, as you graduate, you join a family of alumni which is 150,000 members strong. Just as you have had the opportunity here at SFU for an engaged student experience, you now have the same opportunity to be an engaged alumnus. Daniel Kahneman describes engaged people as more alert, more intellectually active, less willing to be satisfied with superficially attractive answers, more skeptical about their intuitions. So my hope is for you to be that kind of person. My final wish for you comes from the poet Emily Dickinson, who discerned, as I hope you will, that life is so startling, it leaves little time for anything else. Congratulations. I call upon the president of our university, Professor Andrew Petter.
Thank you. Madam Chancellor, honored guests, members of the Board of Governors and Senate, faculty members, staff, and most especially graduands, family, and friends. It's my privilege to preside at this culminating celebration of your education at Simon Fraser University. You have earned this moment. You've worked hard in your studies, deepened your knowledge, and broadened your horizons. And along the way, you've cultivated your gifts, honed your abilities, and gained many lifelong friends. Today marks a major milestone, and you have every right to feel proud and excited. At the same time, you can be forgiven for feeling a tad apprehensive. Having worked so hard, the world you're about to inherit might seem a bit battered around the edges. South of the border, there's been a rise in nativism and a decline in political civility. Growing tensions abroad and an opioid crisis at home have fueled anxieties and fears. And the devastation caused by Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria is a disturbing portent of what our failure to address climate change might hold in store. Yet despite these developments, there's also cause for hope and optimism. The Oslo Peace Institute reports that there have been fewer wars and fewer war deaths in the past 10 years than at any time in the past century. Harvard psychologist Steven Pinker, who stood on this stage just a few years ago to receive an honorary degree, has documented a steep decline in worldwide violence, a decline that he notes may be the most significant and least appreciated development in the history of our species. Canadians enjoy the longest life expectancy ever, and we've seen a significant rise in educational attainment. Major strides have been taken in advancing women's equality and LGBTQ rights, and we've embarked upon a journey of truth and reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. In these and other areas, while there is still much work to be done, things are moving in a positive direction. But nothing makes me more hopeful than looking out at all of you. I've witnessed the dedication, the excellence, the passion that you've brought to your time at SFU. And I've seen the commitments you've made to yourselves and to others. I'm particularly reminded of the We Are All SFU event that was held earlier this year in Freedom Square following the announcement of the U.S. travel ban on citizens of 7 Muslim-majority countries. That event came about because students, faculty, and staff were determined to stare down the darkness, to repudiate threats to human rights, freedom, and international understanding. And the response was inspiring. So many of you turned out with courage and conviction to demonstrate your solidarity with those affected by the ban and to show that you would not tolerate any erosion to their rights and their freedoms. That same spirit and determination was on display last month when so many from SFU joined the Vancouver Walk for Reconciliation, an affirmation of our shared commitment to Canada's Indigenous peoples. I would like to believe that the activism and sense of purpose that motivated our community to take part in those events was nurtured here at SFU. As Canada's engaged university and one whose vision is grounded in the values of diversity, inclusion, and mutual respect, SFU has assumed a special responsibility to build bridges and strengthen civil society, to promote evidence-based dialogue and deliberation on issues of public policy, and to support religious freedom, social equality, and cross-cultural engagement. It was so deeply gratifying, therefore, to see how widely these values are shared and held by our students, faculty, and staff. So here is my hope and wish for you as you start on the next chapter of your lives. As you take from this university the knowledge, skills, and capacities that you need to achieve personal success, I urge you also to take with you commitments to social justice and engagement. In the course of improving your own lives, spare some time and energy for improving the lives of others and for making the world a better place. You may well look to the future with measures of excitement and apprehension. There will be good times, and there will be bad. Wherever you go, push towards the good. Humans have greater capacity than ever to conquer challenges in the environment, the economy, and society. In these difficult tasks, embrace the role the world needs you to play and never doubt your ability to make a difference. As anthropologist Jane Goodall has observed, you cannot go through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference. You just have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. Today, you join a community of 150,000 alumni around the world, remarkable people who are already engaged in making their lives and their communities better. Together, your impact can be transformative. So step up and stay in touch. In the years to come, SFU will always be here for you to answer questions and to help you continue your education whenever the need should arise. For now, to you and to the parents, partners, mentors, and supporters who brought you to this moment, I say congratulations. Today is for celebration. Tomorrow, the opportunity to build a better world awaits. Good luck and good fortune in all that you do.
SFU's honorary degree is the highest honor conferred by the university. Honorary degrees are awarded to distinguished individuals in recognition of their scholarly, scientific, or artistic achievement, or in recognition of exceptional contribution to the public good through professional or philanthropic activity. Honorary degree recipients' achievements celebrate our university's values and serve as an inspiration and role model to our students, graduates, and communities. The honorary degree will now be conferred. To present the honorary degree candidate, Mr. Robert Arthur Williams, I am very pleased to welcome Mr. Am Johal. Am Johal is Director of SFU's Van City Office of Community Engagement. Mr. Johal.
Madam Chancellor, I am pleased to present esteemed community leader Robert Williams. Throughout his 60-year career spanning the public and private sectors, he has helped transform British Columbia's communities and the lives of its citizens. While he doesn't suffer fools gladly, and though his creative irascibility is legendary, it is that very bulldogged tenacity that has produced such incredible results in community building in the province for so many decades. Mr. Williams was first elected into office as a Vancouver City Councillor in 1965. Then for close to 2 decades, he was MLA for the Vancouver East Riding. Between 1972 and 1975, as Minister of Lands, Forests, and Water Resources, Mr. Williams played a key role in saving Blackcomb Mountain from logging and establishing Whistler Village. As well, he halted plans for a skyscraper to house the city's courthouse and government buildings and hired renowned architect Arthur Erickson to create what is today Robson Square. During this period, he also created successful forest corporations, doubled parks and wilderness preservation, and established the Agricultural Land Commission. As the chair of ICBC, he dedicated $250 million of the Crown Corporation's capital reserves to fund the construction of Central City in Surrey in the 1990s. The award-winning development, home to SFU's Surrey campus, has generated $4 billion in new investments in the surrounding area. Serving on the Van City Board of Directors from 1983 to 1995 and again from 2007 to 2016, his achievements include moving the credit union's head office to Terminal Avenue and Main Street, establishing the summer program in cooperative economics with the University of Bologna, and collaborating on a trailblazing report that provided a blueprint for the credit union to nurture the creative economy. His contributions extend to the arts as well. Mr. Williams owned and operated the Railway Club in downtown Vancouver for 30 years. The pioneering music venue introduced Katie Lang to the West Coast. Mr. Williams currently chairs the Jim Green Foundation, and in recent years he's been working to convert the former Vancouver Police Station on Main Street into a center for social innovation. In 2012, he was named an honorary architect by the Architecture Institute of British Columbia. Madam Chancellor, on behalf of the Senate of this university, I ask that you now confer upon Robert Williams the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
Ready? Robert Arthur Williams, by virtue of the authority vested in me and in the Senate of this university, I do hereby admit you to the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa. Dr. Williams will be hooded by Dr. Wade Parkhouse, Vice Provost and Associate Vice President Academic, and Ms. Romana Kanhamani, Registrar and Executive Director of Student Enrollment.
Well done, Doctor. Thank you, sir. Sign the book, pose for a photo, and then It is with huge pleasure that I now call upon Dr. Robert Williams for his convocation address. Dr. Williams.
Thank you, my dear friend Andrew, Mr. President, Madam Chancellor, Minister Ralston, the MLAs, and of course, friends and graduates. It's wonderful to be here in this grand space. I was an associate of Arthur's for some time, and it's wonderful to see his space used this way, even if it's a little cruel. So it's an honor to be here on this important day and share it with the graduates, fellow graduates. I myself never thought I would go to university. I come from a family that didn't do that in those days. And so I never expected to be part of this kind of exercise. But I was lucky enough to work in planning, and I was lucky enough to work with Dave Barrett, one of our great premiers. And I was lucky enough to work in our forests. So there's these various worlds that have been good to me. But I want to reflect on two very important aspects of my life as a youth in high school at Britannia in our East Side, where Dave was 2 years ahead of me. And I reflect on a day when I was in grade 10 down there, and our school principal called me down to the office, his office, and I was the only kid in the office. And I was used to crowds of us being brought in to be disciplined, but what was this about? The principal, and for those of you in education, had a profound effect on my life. His name, I remember so well, was E.L. Buck Yo, and he had been a colonel in the military. So, but I was a dreamy, dozy kind of kid in high school, as many of us are. And so I'm there and I'm asking myself, why am I here and why am I alone? And he came in and called me in and he said, Bob, I've been watching you. And I said, oh. And so he says, yeah. He said, I've noticed that you're really capable of so much more than what you're doing around here right now. And he carried on in that vein. And I said, really? And he said, you don't seem to realize that someone with your capacity can do a lot with your life. And I just wanted you to understand that. I walked away out of that office on air. And I thought, God, no punishment, just a recognition of my potential. And 6 months later, I won an international prize in poster competition for North America on safe driving is what it was about. But in those days, when my dad, a soldier, and the family came back to Vancouver after World War II, this city was in a terrible housing crisis. Does that sound a little bit familiar? It was terrible. The soldiers and their families were booked in hotels in cramped space and so on. We bedded in with my grandmother and the rest of that family, and it couldn't go on. So my dad found the back of a store at first in Nanaimo, and that's where we ended up moving, and my mom had a little store in the front to justify our illegal occupation in the back. But at the same time, the government of Canada was preparing for what they thought might be the next depression after the Second World War. Of course, we were fortunate that they were smart enough and good enough to avoid that. But that sensitive government was is famous for its pre-war effort, turning us into an industrial country for the war effort and for Europe and Britain. But generally what's not known is that C.D. Howe and the business people that helped build this new Canada after the Depression, there was a group of social democrats that Mackenzie King had also hired to do the post-war planning. And most people don't know that. And one of those post-war social democrats was a professor of mine at UBC. And quietly, these planners carried out their work, and they determined that they were actually going to work toward building more of a social democracy in Canada. And so there, Mackenzie King was one of our great interventionists in building this country and making it a better place. So we in BC have had two great interventionist governments as well. W.A.C. Bennett, your library takes on his name, and Dave Barrett, my old buddy from Britannia High School. W.A.C. Bennett ended up intervening in our economy and created new infrastructure, BC Ferries, and BC Hydro. Dave Barrett gave us the Agricultural Land Commission, new farmland, new wilderness, a great change in decentralization, and a real humanizing of the province. We might ask ourselves, well, which of these premiers was left and which of these premiers was right? And the answer is they were both right. They were both right. And when I was young, I had the opportunity of working in the two realities of this province, our wilderness and forests, and the Kootenays, the Monashee, the Arrow Lakes were home for me for a period of time. And I learned this new people we have in the interior of the province. And I learned that some of those people in the dry grasslands spoke our language just a little differently, that represented a different landscape and a different world than ours. That, however, has changed in the intervening years. There was a wonderful interrelationship between people on the land and access, and a kind of an indelible movement back and forth between the people and the land. That's changed. We now live in a digitalized world in terms of how we manage our forests. And we also didn't live in a different world because back then when I was in Britannia High School, we lived in that house. It had inadequate plumbing, that is, no bathtub. We lived there for 2.5 years. But the new government, this interventionist government, came along and were determined to create housing for all of Canada. And what they did with veterans was extraordinary. There was the Veterans Land Act. They created whole neighborhoods in Vancouver, Fraserview, Renfrew Heights. They created 1.5 acres in Burnaby here and in Surrey and Coquitlam, and they provided housing and education. And it's the grand occasion when working class people ended up going to university free and transformed their lives, and they transformed Canada. So today, we face both of these issues, the question of the environment and the way we interface land, and the whole question of what we do with our housing needs now. We invited a professor, some of us, who actually spoke just prior to the election, we invited a professor here to talk about it, a specialist in land economics, and Michael Hudson from the University of Missouri. He did a one-sentence statement about what we've allowed to happen in this city and with housing in our region. And it's devastating in one sentence. And it was something like this: you people have allowed criminal international capital to intervene in your land market, and in so doing, you have expropriated your children. That's a profound statement. And so, like the interventionist government back then in the 40s, we have to ask ourselves, do we need an interventionist government again? And the question is, do we need that in the urban world, and do we need it in our hinterland where our forests are sadly declining as well? And so the access of our people to both the city and to the country is terribly limited. And for those of you that are studying the environment, I urge you to read the work of Wendell Berry, the great rural essayist in America, who talks about land and people must be interlinked for the real wealth of people and the land to be achieved. It's quite profound. Well, now we have a new government, and all of us have to act a little bit like my old high school principal and have to say, there's one hell of a potential in you people, and we have to be like the high school principal and say, you've got tremendous potential and you can achieve so much. So I'm looking forward to new achievements, not too long, and at your expanding university out in Surrey. In this province, the only limit is our imagination, and I hope that our new folks here and there will bring that to bear. Thank you all, and congratulations.
Don't forget your degree.
Whoops.
You shouldn't forget your degree, Mr. Williams. There we go. Thank you, Dr. Williams. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of Convocation, the Alumni Association will present a Simon Fraser University alumni pin to the graduates as they leave the stage. Our alumni are incredibly important to us, and we're pleased that this symbolic presentation will launch you on your new role as alumni of SFU. Mr. Robert Weston received a Bachelor of Arts in Commerce and Economics in 1978 and has led a successful career in the HR field. He's remained a dedicated volunteer with SFU, and he currently serves as the president of our SFU Alumni Association. I invite Mr. Western to the lectern to bring greetings to the graduands. Robert?
Thank you, President Petter. Madam Chancellor. On behalf of your elected SFU Alumni Association Board, I extend my congratulations to you all. You are now lifetime members of our SFU alumni community, a worldwide network that is now more than, as of now, 150,000 strong, over 140 countries. Your relationship with SFU transforms now as your journey continues. We're here to help you expand your personal and professional network through local, national, and international events, and to support your successes through offering access to career resources, library services, and many value-added benefits. Our goal is to have you serve as an engaged alumni, helping advance and enhance the students' experience for future graduates and serving as ambassadors of the SFU community. As you cross the stage today, I'll present you with an alumni pin. Wear it as a symbol of your incredible achievement and connection to SFU. Be proud of your accomplishments. Be proud of your SFU credential. And thank you all for investing your time, energy, and talents in this great university. Congratulations again, and welcome to the Alumni Association.
Thank you, Robert. Before the graduands are presented individually to the Chancellor, Ms. Mina Mangat, a member of the graduating class, will address Convocation. Mina is graduating with a Master of Education. She's been a secondary school educator with the Burnaby School District for 7 years. She also contributes to SFU in the international educational programs, creating workshops around quality teaching and learning. She has worked with a diverse community of learners in the South Burnaby-Edmonds neighborhood with special interest in contemplative education and how mindfulness practices influence her own pedagogy and well-being. She will continue her inquiry into contemplative studies in her PhD program beginning this fall. It's now my pleasure to call upon Ms. Mina Mangat for the graduand address. Mina?
Good afternoon, and thank you all for gathering here today. My deepest gratitude to the true ancestors of these asserted and unceded shared territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. Thank you for the privilege of being able to learn, reflect, evolve, and now celebrate on your traditional territory. Madam Chancellor, President Petter, honored faculty, dear friends and family, thank you for taking the time to celebrate the many achievements of your graduates. And to my fellow graduates, I hope you think my words when I say congratulations, you made it. I also acknowledge my own ancestors, my mother's mothers, and those who have guided all of us through our individual and collective journeys. I have come to understand that these journeys are rooted in story. Some stories that come from a lineage of surety, while others from an opus of struggle and strength. Here is one story. It is a story of arrival, one which we all experienced as some of us entered and other of us re-entered the grounds of this university with an amalgam of felt senses. What joined our personal entry points may have been our initial sensing of the sometimes beautiful and other times gray, oh very gray, concrete walls and spaces of this university, of the waves of new faces, of the cacophony of sounds from shuffling feet on the shallow stairs of the AQ, to the drip of freshly brewed Renaissance coffee, quickly purchased and consumed before class, from the tapping of keyboards to the laughter between peers while attempting to study in the many corners of the AQ. This initial sensing of space paralleled closely with the sensing of ourselves. Many of us pondered how we would identify as learners, as friends, as contributors of thought and action. And many of us continue to sense more deeply this understanding of who we can continue to become as lifelong learners. There's also another story, the story of thought. Thoughts that have been protected and preserved, while others have risen to the surface only to be deconstructed and cleared. Thoughts presented by professors that have challenged the way in which we perceive the system and structures that we work and live in. Thoughts that have shaken our very sense of self, and thoughts that have been unchained by colonial narratives. I am grounded by Toni Morrison when she states, definitions belong to the definers, not the defined. With this guidance, may we, as definers, be mindful of how our thoughts hold the potential to create stories of empowerment or stories of oppression. May the words of our instructors and peers allow us to tread with responsibility as we create and grow thoughts that urge more love, more connection, and reconciliation in our world. I am aware of how SFU, with my ancestors, family, and peers, has allowed me to know how recognizing and naming the origin of thoughts allows us to acknowledge that everyone is rooted to a moment in time and place, a place where a thought occurred, an arrival ensued, a relationship built, and an action began. I'm humbled by the seemingly singular thought that my grandfather and grandmother had in 1959 when they made the decision to build a lifeline in Canada. A thought that has brought my parents the opportunity to provide for me another way of being, and for me in turn to be able to earn an education. Also, I look to you all, and I'm humbled by the knowing that each of you have origins of such thoughts that have brought you, your family, and supporters all here, to this place, to this moment. Perhaps the most potent story lies with the borders of our years, semesters, courses, early mornings and late evenings at our academy. This is the story of relationship. Relationship with words, thoughts, ideas. Relationship with professors, peers, friends, and family. As we continue to understand our relationship with ourselves and with the world, may we continue to hold space for dialogue and connection, for support and compassion. As we sit here today reflecting on our past stories alongside the stories we have yet to reclaim and create, may we also tend to the roots of the story of action. For what we are inheriting in our current world is possibility. Possibility to shape fear into trust, anger into agency, silence into allyship. Possibility to take what we have developed and created in the container of SFU into our future thoughts, future relationships, and everyday interactions and future careers. I ask each of you to contemplate on your stories and how they have profoundly contributed to you being here this Friday afternoon, graduates of a hard-earned education. I am aware of how my story as a daughter of parents who did not have the privilege of feeling safe enough to receive a post-secondary education upon their arrival to Canada, which now fuels me to feel empowered and deeply grateful to build, create, and reclaim my own story of arrival, thoughts, relationships, and now of action. I am aware that all of our personal stories of action hold the potential to transform not only ourselves, but our communities. As the great Thomas King once said, the truth about stories is that that's all we are. You can't understand the world without telling a story. May you all be emboldened to speak your story beyond the walls of Simon Fraser University. In the words of Dr. Pinkola Estes, I hope you will go out and let stories, that is life, happen to you, and that you will work with these stories, water them with your blood and tears and your laughter until they bloom, till you yourself burst into bloom. Congratulations to each and every one of you, to your families, to your supporters. With love and courage, graduates of 2017, may you all continue to bloom. Thank you.
That's great, thank you. Thank you, Mina. The members of the graduating class will now be presented to the Chancellor to be admitted en masse to their degrees. Will the graduands please rise? Pretty good-looking group, don't you think? Madam Chancellor, I present to you those scholars who have fulfilled the statutory requirements laid down by the Senate of this university, and I request that you confer upon them all the degrees for which they are recommended.
By virtue of the authority vested in me and in the Senate of this university, I do hereby admit you to your various and several degrees. The graduates may now be seated.
The members of the graduating class will now be presented individually to the Chancellor. But first, just a few requests. Would you please refrain from applauding the individual members of the graduating class until each group of degrees has been conferred? This does not apply to the conferral of doctoral degrees, and obviously we cannot forbid spontaneous outbursts of enthusiasm. In fact, we wouldn't want to. As a courtesy to others, please remain seated until the conclusion of the ceremony. Would the graduates please return to your seats following the receipt of your degrees, except for doctoral graduates who should join your colleagues on the platform. The degrees in the Faculty of Education and the Faculty of Environment will now be conferred. Madam Chancellor, the Associate Dean of Academics in Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies, Dr. Edward Park, will announce the names of the students earning graduate degrees.
Madam Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the graduates of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the Faculty of Education. The graduates will be hooded by their accompanying faculty supervisor, representative, or Dr. Chris Magnuson, Dean of Education. Carmen Almarza. Dr. Almarza will be hooded by their supervisor, Dr. Stephen Smith. Lian Hui. Dr. Hui will be hooded by their supervisor, Dr. Ann Chinnery. Petra Miklan. Sharon Rogers. Amy Rumi. Dr. Amy Rumi will be hooded by their supervisor, Dr. Hee-sun Bae. We need Sylvia. Dr. Sylvia will be hooded by their supervisor, Dr. Alan McKinnon. Dylan Vanderschiff. Dr. Vanderschiff will be hooded by Supervisor Susan O'Neill. Jihua Zhang. Dr. Zhang will be hooded by their supervisor, Dr. Kumari Beck. Congratulations. Madam Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the graduates of the degree of Doctor of Education in the Faculty of Education. The graduates will be hooded by their accompanying faculty supervisor, representative, or Dr. Chris Magnuson of Dean of Education. Carrie Schutt. Dr. Schutt will be hooded by their supervisor, Dr. Daniel Laishi. Christine Young-Husband. Young-Husband will be hooded by their supervisor, Dr. Daniel Laishi. Ike Hall. Dr. Hall will be hooded by their supervisor, Dr. Milt McLaren. Congratulations. Madam Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the graduates of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the Faculty of Environment. The graduates will be hooded by their accompanying faculty supervisor, representative, or Dr. Alex Clapp, Associate Dean of Environment. Thank you. Eric Enger. William Carton. Dr. Carton will be hooded by their supervisor, Dr. Mark Collard. Joshua Labov. Dr. Labov will be hooded by their supervisor, Dr. Nicholas Blomny. Jennifer Louise Bodica. Dr. Louise Bodica will be hooded by their supervisor, Dr. John Welch. Michael Malik. Dr. Malik will be hooded by their supervisor, Dr. Sean Cox. Elizabeth Peterson. Congratulations. Madam Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the graduates of master's degrees in the Faculty of Education. Wayne G. Diana Agapa. Ashley Albach. Lorraine Akima. Nikki Alcock. Linda Arso. Samantha Atkinson. Sukdeep Baines. Trina Barber. Sonia Keller. Ashley Boquet. Madeline Brewster. Carly Brockway. Kushwant Brown. Allison Campbell. Jamie Campbell. Irma Chang. Eric Sharest. Emily Colburn. Kamala Coughlin, Tammy Daly, Miyuki Davidson, Jill Delancey, Jeanette Demare, Susan Dillon, Kristen Dory, Ronald Doland, Laura Earl, Heather Elpick, Joanne Elkemeyer, Christine Francis, Jennifer Fritz, Tiffany Godin, Sandeep Glover, Mustafa Kokman, Nicola Gorsev, Rachel Goshlak, Pamjit Gruwer, Rashdeep Hansra, Sophia Hunter, Kristen Eckert, Matama Jalali Terani, Alison Jameson, Pramjit Jaswal, Wan Kui Jin, Wendy Johnston, Helen Kenneth Bacon, Christina Kinch, Andrea Liburn, Catherine Lomax, Kali Loy, Michelle McTavish, Chantel Ma, Mena Mangat, Mark Maretik, Amrit Marwaha, Alison Matthews, Scott McRae, Brandon Morishita, Fatima Murad, Jennifer Nichols, Catherine Nielsen, Stephanie Hernandez, Kiranjot Panesar, Leon Payson, Alison Penner, Courtney Robertson, Luna Ratley, Bernard Moon Hwan Ryu, Jesse Sanchez, Jivan Marcom Sangera, Sherry Schweitzer, Lindsay Seto, Sarah Shaw, Manu Singh, Carol Skorsky, Leah Smoller, Freddie Summers, Yang Song, Clayton Stevens, Edward Suderman, Dorota Shelagowitz, David Thomas, Timothy Teraki, Mark Tizo, Janelle Vendo, Amanda Van Gardron, Jordan Benston, Adeline Penkataya, Alexandra Wakeling, Alisa Wallace, Stanley Weeb, Andrea Udroff, Dennis Yu, Aileen Yoon, Sonia Yang, Iona Chiru. Congratulations. Madam Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the recipient of Graduate Diploma in the Faculty of Education. Karen Moffat. Madam Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the graduates of master's degrees in the Faculty of Environment. Megan Harris, Sarah Leeson, Jeffrey Morgan, Eric Simmons, Ginevra Tonillo, Matthew Backer, Celeste Barlow, Michelle Vandermoor, Sinru Lee, Ian Lockhead. Thank you.
Madam Chancellor, the Dean of the Faculty of Education, Dr. Chris Magnuson, will announce the names of the students earning undergraduate degrees in his faculty.
Madam Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the graduates of the degree of Bachelor of Education in the Faculty of Education. Kelsey Acaster, Tiva Albanese, Marina Alberti, Judith Amarascara, Carrie Anderson, Jessica Antunes, Miriam Arden, Parveen Bagri, Angie Baumgartner, Sarah Bilby Job, Chloe Baura, Simone Broderick Hale, Nicolette Bruschetta, Alexandra Bueller, David Bailenga, Natasha Carlos, Mehtab Shahal, Kendall Charles, Leanne Chin, Samuel Chu, Chelsea Clough, Marie Kojakaru, Jody Cornell, Stephanie Cunningham, Chantel Davidson, Courtney DeCaruzic, Kylie DeVries Stadler, Luca DeCoste, Pavandeep Dadwal, Hanan Duma, Sarah Durkin, Danielle Faria, Barka Farzwani, Melissa Ferris, Megan Franks, Jasdeep Gakal, Bianca Gall, Jake Gillespie, Lauren Glonek, Christopher Harrison, Danielle Harvey, Miriam Hasir, Coralie Henry, Amanda Hooper, Caitlin Jackson, Chanel James, Jessica Jones, Leah Jordan, Asmita Joshi, Sharon Jun, Stephanie Cake, Nazrin Kamali, Jasmeet Kaur, Laura Keene, Denise Curry, Ashley Coles, Jeffrey Kwok, Kayla Langton, David Lee, Marissa Lucas, Alyssa Lukianyak, Becky Lum, Sonia Medea, Samantha Manuel, Daniela Matza, Nicole McCall, Madison McDermott, Jessica McCluskey, Haley Mitten, Taylor Ann Morton, Ruth Go, Christina Novak, Sonia Oliver, Michael Ostafew, Tawny Pearson Roberts, Joseph Power, Paul Premack, Danielle Raymond, Sarah Reed, Adelia Reese, Michael Riddle, Jasmine Ring, Lena Rizzo, Garrett Rowe, Mona Sabzavari, Esther Saxono, Denise Salmon, Ramandeep Sandhar, Harjot Sangha, Chantel Sarazin, Paul Sawyer, Valentina Scarini, Monica Schneider, Samantha Sue, Troy Smith, Randeep Sohal, Sarah Sansala, Carolyn Sorial, Aeneas St. Laurent, Maria Temlet, Amanda Teng, Katie Titler, Lindsay Tonagai, Andrew Toth, Simardeep Vath, Brianna Vissers, Megan Weeks, Melissa Westson, Samantha Weeb, Olivia Maria Witkowski, Kimberly Itzma, Madam Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the graduates of the degree of Bachelor of General Studies in the Faculty of Education. Vienna Carrera, Jessica Chan, Vivian Chung, Melanie Della Riva, Vanessa Gonzalez, Yiji Han, Sadie Herbold, Noel Kamatakahara, Sung Yen Lee, Sandy Liu, Heather Olson, Christine Stewart, Yan Sun, Shelley Varadi, Nashaman Wahid, Cassandra Wainwright, Waifeng Wang, Jia Yao Wu, Fang Zhuang, Madam Chancellor, I have the honor to present the students who have completed the requirements for diplomas in the Faculty of Education. Tiffany Genovese, Kanwaljit Gill, Agnes Barretta,
Madam Chancellor, the Associate Dean of the Faculty of Environment, Dr. Alex Clapp, will announce the names of the students earning undergraduate degrees in his faculty.
Madam Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the graduands of the degree of Bachelor of Arts in the Faculty of Environment. Andrea Arboleda, Taylor Bond, Harry Chen, Era Cockram, Candice Jugan, Anna Glass, Ria Hoyer, Elliot Leung, Gabriel Lord, Allison Millar, Rubina Mondaire, Trung Ngo, John Richard Tarlett, Chelsea Yan, Madam Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the graduand of the degree of Bachelor of Environment in the Faculty of Environment. Andrea Lambier, Madam Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the graduands of the degree of Bachelor of Science in the Faculty of Environment. Rachel Boyechko, Christian Hansen, Samuel Ng, Shuyan Oh,
Will the graduating class please rise? Graduates, with your conferral this fall, Simon Fraser University is surpassing 150,000 graduates. I congratulate each of you on the completion of your degree. This is an impressive achievement, and I ask your friends, family, and members of the Platform Party to join me in applauding the amazing graduating class of October 2017. Now, you didn't get here by yourselves. I asked the members of the graduating class to reciprocate by applauding your family, friends, faculty, and staff, indeed all those who helped you to achieve your goals. Please be seated.
Friends, this completes the formal awarding of degrees. Some of the graduands recommended by the Senate for degrees today have been unable to be present, and their names have therefore not been read out. I now admit them to their appropriate degrees as shown in the program. And I have several thank yous to express. First, to all of you for joining us on this celebratory and a little bit blustery day. To the many volunteers, staff, and faculty members coordinated by Ceremonies and Events and Student Services who have worked together to run a smooth Convocation Day. And of course, to the members of our 6-time world champion Simon Fraser University Pipe Band for their contribution to Convocation, and we'll hear them perform again shortly in Freedom Square behind the platform. Can you join me in thanking them all? This brings to a close the formal part of this afternoon's convocation, but you are all invited to attend a reception in the James Douglas Room, again behind the platform. I ask that you please rise and remain standing at your places until the platform party has recessed. Thank you all.